Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode. This is the 94th episode of Carmela's Wrestling Radio Relived. I can't believe it, Jeannie. Do you remember when
No,
we were
didn't we
first
just
starting?
start this yesterday?
I
Like,
know. It was like our first episode was yesterday.
yeah,
Anyway, we have a wonderful guest today who's on for our
yes.
second time. We still have a lot we want to talk about with her. And she has a previous engagement, so we want to make sure we get as many questions in as we can. Um, Again, I just wanted to let everybody know, too, that we're going to have our tribute show for Paul, God willing, on Saturday. So we have some guests coming to the show as well. Um, I want to just say thank you to everybody for listening. I especially want to say hello to David. And I hope everything that all your endeavors come true. Okay. You have a lot of good potential. You have a lot of good things coming your way. And I just hope I can be there to help you out with them. But anyway, let's get started. Let's bring on our wonderful, beautiful guest, Barbara Goodish.
Well,
Hey. Hi,
hey,
Barbara.
hey, thank you to the two of you. It's great to see the both of you again. So
Oh, it's
enjoyed meeting you both. It was so cool to, meet you in person. Oops,
it was there you go. You fell down.
I fell
No, it
down.
was. It was wonderful to meet you. It
It
really was.
was.
It
It
really
was.
was.
It was so good. And I did get your book
There you go.
and I have it
She's
and
got
it's
it too.
amazing. Yes, it's
Wow,
amazing.
awesome.
You
Thank
autographed
you.
it for me. And I
Awesome.
do have to just say real quick, and I don't know if you'll remember this. I have a feeling you will though. So on May 3rd, where you were at the WrestleCon signing your book, somebody I know was there, and his name is Andrew. And the
Oh,
reason why I always have trouble remembering his name, because in my brain, I just call him Brody because he's a
ah,
spitting image of Brody. And he was there and he was wearing his own wrestling t shirt of himself, but it looks exactly like Frank. It looks, I mean, and he came up to you and you were like, oh my gosh, that's my husband. You're wearing a shirt. Like you didn't recognize the
Aw.
shirt, you
nice.
know. And then he's like, no, it's me. And you were like, oh my, yeah, okay, yeah, that's you, not
Wow.
Frank. And
I
he was so thrilled and so honored because he absolutely loved Frank and like his inspiration and everything. And meeting you was just a highlight and a thrill. And I just saw Andrew last Friday at a wrestling show, and I said, "We're having Barbara on. Can I mention your?" And he's like, "Oh my God, yeah, yeah, yeah! Tell her how great it was and everything." So
Aw.
I don't know if you remember that encounter, but
Oh, how could I forget? I remember I was so astonished because I actually thought it was Frank on his t-shirt. And
yeah.
that's how good that t-shirt was and how he was. I said, "Oh, that's a great t-shirt. Where did you get that?" He said, "It's my t-shirt." And then I looked again. He said, "This is me." I said, "Wow."
Wow.
Like I said, it was, and I've got several photographs of him. I think I put a couple on too when I came home because I couldn't believe how much he looked like him. The T-shirt was a great T-shirt. He
Yeah,
he
Nice.
yeah.
should he
And
should
like I said, in my brain, when I very first met him a couple years ago, it was, I didn't know his name, but in my brain, I'm just like, oh, there goes Brody, because he looks so much like him. And yeah, so and then finally I learned what his real name was,
yeah.
but it's,
No,
yeah,
how you can tell him? How could I forget him?
yeah.
Really? Yeah. How could you? Barbara, you have to send me that picture because I don't think I know Andrew. Do I know him?
I'll get it after we finish this, and I'll send it right to
Okay.
you. I'll just send you a
Okay. Yep.
copy.
No
Yeah.
Yeah, you
problem.
might have seen him when you came to the one show. You might have seen him, but I honestly
Hmm.
don't remember.
Okay. So, for those of you who don't know who this beautiful young lady
Oh
is,
gosh.
she is the wife of the late Bruiser Brody, Frank Goodish. And we had you on before and we talked about so many things. If it's okay with you, I would like to recap some of that.
Yes.
Um, Tell us again how you met and how you wound up marrying one of the scariest wrestlers ever.
Well, I was working, I just happened to be working in a hotel in Sydney, Australia. I was over there and it was the hotel called the Texas Tavern that all the boys, my phone keeps, I've got a dog running around with me.
Yeah,
So if I have a little bit of that, please excuse me.
that's okay. It's okay.
So, so it just happened that this night they would come in. I mean, when I say this, I mean, I'm talking about, I met Andre the Giant and Rick Martel and Don Morocco and J.J. Dillon.
Wow.
And I mean, I could go on Tony Guerrero. See what's
Yeah,
happening? Oops, I'm so sorry. Let's see if I can get this so that it won't slip. Oh, sorry, guys.
it's okay. It's okay. You're fine.
And yes, okay, okay. My dog's name is Dexter. Dexter, be a good boy. Yeah, I stop running around.
Tell them to be good, or we'll put them on TV.
I'll show you to the audience.
That's
Uh,
it, right?
And I'd known them for quite so while. And one of my friends was Killer Carl Krupp, who's also passed on. Because you have to remember, this was 1977, 78, and we didn't have this great, no internet, no social media, no
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah.
So when the boys would come over from America to do a circuit, they did New Zealand and Australia. There was no way to kind of keep in touch with their wives. You could call, but those days to make a telephone call was just so expensive. So they would write. Think about it, the days when people used to write letters to
Oh,
each other,
wow. Yeah.
you know. So I would sometimes get the mail and then I'd see them. So I'd hand them their mail and everything. And they'd show me pictures of all their children and their wives. And they just missed being home. So it was like
Mhm.
someone to be able to talk to. So this day, I usually just worked a 9 to 5. This day, they had the 7 to 3 and then 3 to 11. Well,
Right.
the 3 to 11 girl didn't show up. So they asked me, would you stay on after 5 and work the front desk and the shift? I said, well, okay. I mean, we're young. Any extra money, right? Oh,
That's
yeah,
right.
I'll do it. I've got nothing to do.
Yeah.
So all the boys were working a show outside Sydney, and they all came back just as I was getting ready to leave. I had to go back. Frank had been in the hotel probably about 3 months. So we'd talk to each other, but there was nothing. You know what I mean? It was just,
Hmm.
like I said, they were my buddies. And
Right.
because I wasn't into wrestling or anything like that, had no idea what it was, but it was just, interesting to find out about people from other countries back in those days. It was,
Hmm.
interesting to learn about other countries.
Yeah.
So they just arrived up, and then Killer Carl Krupp, he asked me, he said, why don't you come up to the Bourbon and Beef? It was an American gentleman that owned the hotel, and he had a piano bar up the street. So I said, okay, what am I doing? Go home. Sure, I'll come up. There was like about 10 of them. I mean, it's kind of funny when you think there was the small, the medium, and the large,
Yeah, yeah.
you know. And so we got up to the piano bar and just sitting there talking and being yourself and being, who you are as a person. And then one by one, they started leaving. It was like, oh, we'll be back, we'll be back, we'll be back. And then all of
Hmm.
a sudden there was 3 of us. And that was Carl, me, and Frank. And then Carl gets up and says, I'll be right back. Well, I got worked. I didn't
That
know
was a setup. Yep. Yep.
yeah, it was a
Okay.
setup because he told the boys she'll never come out. If I ask her, she's not going to ever come out.
Oh.
But if she feels comfortable with all of you, she'll come out with us. But guys, you have to leave.
Oh my
You don't
God.
stay too long. You've got to leave. So I didn't realize what a good worker he was. But yes, I got worked right from the beginning. And and you know something, when you're not on a date or you're not trying to impress anybody, you are yourself. You are who you are as a person. You know,
Exactly.
like people when they go out on a date, they're always trying to impress. They're kind of not themselves because they're trying to impress the other person. But
Right.
when it's not a date or it's not anything, you're the real person. And I think
Hmm.
that's what makes a good relationship, when you're a real person from the very beginning and they know who you are right from the
Hmm.
very beginning. So I think that was part of how it all worked. And of course, he, I'm sure he sometimes got into a little trouble if things,
No,
oh, no,
Frank.
no, no.
No. Well,
So,
how did he ask you? What did he say? I mean, was he romantic? Like, what did he say?
no, it's like when he, like, we'd seen each other, it was about 3, 4 months before he had, no, this had to be 77, because then he went home for Christmas and then he came back again. So we had probably been together, known each other for probably 6, 7 months. It was, you know what I mean? It wasn't just a couple of months. So this night he came back from doing a show and he said, I'm going home tomorrow. Oh, well, nice to know you.
Yeah, see ya.
Good luck. Bye. Because everybody says, yeah, don't expect anything. They're over
No.
here and they just want a friend. I mean, that's how it is. So I wasn't
Hmm.
expecting. So okay. But then he did a thing that totally amazed me because I'm sure you've heard stories. He was very frugal. He didn't really go out with the boys. He didn't because he said, "How do you make money if you go out and spend every nickel you earn?"
Exactly.
Which a lot of them do.
Hmm.
So he sat there and he pulled out this. He got paid, and he pulled out the sum of money and he put it on the table, and he said, "I'd like you to come over." Okay, see, and I knew right then that he trusted me because I could have just kept the money because it was, quite a bit of money back in those days for an airline ticket to come to
Hmm.
America.
So he
And
gave you cash on the table to
cash
fly
on
to
the table.
America?
He put it there and said, "I would like you to come over to America. I have to leave tomorrow, but I would like you when you tie up, because when you've lived in a place for a long time, there's certain things you have to,
Yeah.
you can't just leave." So, and I knew, like I said, I knew he trusted me, but there was no promises. There was no, "Oh, I love you, we're going to get married, blah, blah." It was just here. So I knew he didn't have to say anything because he trusted me, and I,
Wow.
and I trusted him because knowing what how that must have felt to put that amount of money, he knew that I wasn't going to rip him off. He
Right, right.
actually, because like I said, some people I'm sure would because it was a lot of money back in those
Oh, in
days.
a heartbeat. Yeah.
In a heartbeat. But I never thought. So it took me a couple of weeks, I think, or something to get everything straightened out and leave my job and get my apartment and everything taken care of. But that was the scariest thing too, is arriving in America and what am I going to do if he doesn't meet me? Because we didn't really have any contact. I just gave him, sent the info. I think it was a telegram or something when I was arriving and everything. And
Hmm.
the scariest thing is, you get on the plane and you think, what's going to happen if he's not there? You always think that. But
Of
no,
course.
he was waiting with a big smile on his face. And
Oh, that's so
and
nice.
I had bought a ticket to get, in and out because if you have to go through all the visas and everything like that to be, you're legally going to come into a country. So I got a ticket on to London because I'd never visited London. So I thought if it doesn't work out, I'll have another place, to go to.
Hmm.
But of course, it worked out. I'm still sitting here talking to you girls. So I guess
Well, let me ask you.
I wish it'd gone different, but that's okay.
Well, let me ask you a question now. I know that today, getting a visa to go to another country permanently is a big project. It's a lot. How did you manage to do all that in a couple of weeks? Well, obviously, it wasn't that hard back then, but
Yeah,
um,
I had the visa for quite. I think it was a 3, 6 month visa or something, and then
okay,
went to the lawyer and got all my legal papers and everything. So yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So, so you were seeing, was Frank in Australia the 6 or 7 months that you were together, or was it like a long distance relationship?
No, he was in Australia the whole time.
Oh, wow.
He came home. He went back to America at Christmas time because I think he came over like September. Yeah, October, November, December. Then he went back here for Christmas, and then he came back at January. But in the meantime, my mum passed on the 23rd of December, and
Hmm.
I know when I did make a telephone call to let him know, and then he called, and so yeah, so but then he came back, and then he left again. I think April or something. So he was over there. It was
A
quite a
lot.
long contract.
Yeah, that's crazy though. He was there that long. Okay, now
Hmm.
I asked you a question, and I'm going to ask you the same question again because you didn't answer it.
Okay,
When,
I I tend to go.
if you didn't want to answer it, that's okay. But I mean, the night that he asked you out the first time, the very first time when everybody walked away and set you up? How did he ask you out? What did he say?
We just, it was like we sat there talking till like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
You
right.
know,
Okay.
it was kind of like just getting to know. And then from there, he wasn't always in Sydney. They'd go to Melbourne and Brisbane and thing, and then come back. So it was very old fashioned, really. It wasn't like any great,
Hmm.
it was just like a really good friend, becoming friends first
Yeah, that's
before,
important. Very
yeah,
important.
before anything else happened or
Hmm.
before it got to that stage. It was just a good friendship, so
That's cool.
it wasn't like dating. It was just like they're lonely over there and talking and getting to know each other, and so kind of old fashioned, if I want to put it
Hmm.
like that. And that's why I said, even when he left, it didn't say, will you marry me, and anything like that. It was
Just
just,
like that, he just what said, come over.
yeah, I'd like you to come over to America. There was no
Wow.
promises. I mean, there was no promises. Oh, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. That was Frank. He was very few
But
words,
what did
straight
you
to the
think
point.
when he said that? And you're just like, okay, I'm going to go over. He didn't say
Like for
anything. I'm just going to over
vacation. Yeah, I
and
would
just
be
hang
like,
out.
yeah.
What the
So
heck,
see,
right?
that's what I thought. Well, okay, he's got the money to get in. I'm going to book myself all the way to London. I had friends in London, so I thought,
Hmm.
if it doesn't work here, I'm just going to keep going. You know what I mean? I
Hmm.
In life, as you know, girls, you've got to have a backup plan.
Yes, absolutely.
There's always
Always.
a plan A and a plan B, and
And
sometimes
a
even a
C and
plan
D and
C.
E.
So I already had a plan, because you don't know in life what's going to happen. Life is a mystery.
Yeah.
Life is something you can't guarantee at
Hmm.
all,
It
as we
definitely is.
know with different things. So I've always been pretty practical, because I started work at 15. I didn't like school. Bad girl. I didn't like school.
It's
And
okay.
I went and got a job with the post office. And then I told my mum, because you could leave school legally when you were 15 years old.
Right.
So, of course, your parents are just horrified. But I had a good job in the post office, so they really couldn't say anything. I'm 15 years old and I'm doing payroll in a post office,
Wow. That's
you know,
not bad.
because I was pretty, those days, I was pretty good with figures, because my dad owned a butcher shop. And from the time I was 10 years old, I did all his books.
Oh,
So,
wow. Look
so
at
I think,
you.
that's why when I did the tests in the post office, they were simple, because I'd already done books and payroll and things like that,
Exactly.
from a young age.
That's crazy. Well, the reason that I'm getting elaborate on this is because you got to understand something. Looking at it as a fan's point of view, you see Bruiser Brody and you see like Godzilla. You know what I'm saying? You see like this, yeah, this like crazy, wild, angry man all the time who's going to rip your head off. We didn't know the other side of Frank, obviously, like you did. But, to hear about a gentleness or a kindness or an affectionate part of a wrestler or anybody who has that persona of I will kill you, and you're like, wow,
Yeah.
wonder what he was like when he wasn't going to kill somebody. But I do remember that you did say to us when he was not in the ring, he was not involved in wrestling, he was a completely different person, right?
Yes, because he treated it like a business. It was his profession, it was his business. And I think he was one of the lucky ones, because he was always Frank Goodish at home. Bruiser Brody was his business. So when
Okay.
he went on the road, I think I told you too about how I would drop him off at the airport, and the days that you could actually stay at the door of the airport and watch him
Hmm.
saying goodbye to me and his son Jeff, and then
Yes.
walking through those doors, and then all of a sudden, husband, father, and then through those doors, I could see walking straight, that attitude that he had as Bruiser Brody. He became
Yeah.
Bruiser Brody when he left
Yeah.
us behind. Then when he came back, he was this big tough guy coming through the airport. Then as soon as he got to the car, he was dad and husband.
Oh,
The,
that's so
the
sweet.
transformation was incredible, and that's only because he was always Frank Goodish with his family, but Bruiser Brody was his work. That was his character. That was his business. And I think
Right.
that was why he never. But then you have to remember too that every time he went to a territory, he went in as a heel, but he turned to a baby face because even though for some reason they liked his act or whatever it was, he was meant to be the heel, but it
Yeah.
never always worked out, him being the heel.
Everybody loved him. I remember, and I think I told you about this. He worked for us once when we had our original wrestling radio and Squared Circle, and we had a promotion company called Saroma Promotions where we actually did matches. And in Philadelphia area, there was a place called Valley Forge Convention Center. And we had a big show there, and it was Bruiser Brody against Abdullah the Butcher. Okay,
Ooh.
which was classic. They fought
Oh,
each
yes.
other a million times, right? And went through the whole thing. They were both so bloody. Oh my God, it was so crazy, with the forks and the knives and the sticks. And, and it's funny because Abdullah, at one point, I was supposed to yell at him and tell him to get back in the ring because, in the dressing room, because he wasn't listening. He wasn't doing this and that. And like you said, as far as getting set up, I don't know whether I got set up or Abdullah just decided this on his own. But when I went up to him as the promoter and I'm like, you better knock it off, get back in the dressing room. And I'm yelling at him, like screaming, all of a sudden he looks at me and that Abdullah face comes out. The eyes got real big and the teeth, and he starts chasing me. And I'm running. I'm like, oh my God, this wasn't supposed to happen. And I ran back into the dressing room. He chased me back in there. And I'm like, I hate you. I'm going to kill you. And he laughed and he laughed and he laughed. But I'll tell you, meeting Frank was very, very nice. He was very congenial. He was very respectful. He was very sweet. And it's funny, like you said, when you're friends with somebody, you just are yourself. You don't
Yes.
go out of your way to be anything different or whatever. And I used to do that when I used to go to the wrestling matches a lot of times, of course, when I was younger, I was a kid. I would just go as a kid, whatever. And then like when I got to be maybe 17, 18, something like that, then, you start to look different. Everybody started to notice, and I was friends with a lot of the wrestlers, like you said, a lot of them where I was just me going in and out of the building. Like I was a kid, I was raised there. And then all of a sudden, you meet these guys and they're like real nice and they're like, oh, do you want to go out or do you want to do this or that? And then you're like, oh God, where's my makeup? Where's my makeup? And then you put it on and all of a sudden you're a different person. But it should be that way. It should be normal and natural to begin with, But now tell us, and I don't want to bring this up again, but unfortunately we kind of have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, the incident, the incident. Tell us about how that whole thing transpired, as far as you know. I know he was wrestling. I mean, you hear about rumors, you read the papers, you read, stuff, and then you hear from other people. And I can't tell you, Barbara, how many different stories that we've gotten about this. Okay. This person did this person did that. He was walking here, she was walking there. If you're willing to, as you remember it, could you tell us the story, please?
Well, like I said, we had talked that Saturday afternoon.
Right.
We were going to go, me and Jeff were going to go to Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm.
When that happened. Unfortunately, I had a miscarriage a week before we were due to leave on vacation.
Oh, God, I'm sorry.
I don't mention that. One of the reasons I was not with him, this was going to be one of our summer vacations. Me and Jeff were going to go to Puerto Rico, but it was better because I just, to stay at home. It wasn't any good for me to travel at that point of time.
Absolutely.
Just in case, you just don't know. So we talked that Monday, we talked that Saturday, and then we'd set up a time. I was doing some work for him, getting things ready, and we were going to talk on Monday. And his thing was, don't answer the phone. The phone rings because, I had a lot of women would call and try and make trouble and everything like that. It's part of being with somebody in the public eye. In those days, it wasn't social media. It was just a telephone call. We never had didn't have an answering machine, didn't have anything like that. Well, that night, about 11 o'clock at night, the phone started ringing. I didn't answer it. It kept ringing and ringing and ringing. Finally, I was fed up and I said, what, I thought, well, maybe it's Frank. Maybe something, what I mean, he's trying to contact me. Why is this phone keep ringing?
Mm-hmm.
And I answered it, and it was this woman on the other end of the phone. And she said, I just want you to know there's been an accident. Your husband has been in an accident. I said, well, thinking it's a joke. Oh, yeah, where? Puerto Rico. Okay, well, he is in Puerto Rico. And yes, you've got to come down. Yeah, fine. Okay, hang up. I'll call you back. Okay. Well, I said, well, it's somebody. Yeah. Oh, I'd be in trouble. Here I go, end up in Puerto Rico, and it was a big joke. Some woman is
Oh,
playing a
yeah.
joke on me. So I called Dutch Mantel, and it just so happened I knew the hotel he was staying at and everything. So I called Dutch. I said, if there's anything, well, I didn't call Dutch. I called the hotel to talk to Frank. That's right. 37 years, the mind gets a little, forgetful.
It's okay.
So, yeah, no, I called the hotel because that was where he was staying. I knew where he was staying because we'd been in contact because of this business I was doing
Right.
for him.
Right.
So I call the hotel, and she said, just hold on a moment. Well, she put me through to Dutch Mantel. And I'm afraid Dutch told me, didn't tell me what had happened. He just said, there has been an accident, and, maybe you should come down. Oh, gosh. I mean, this is now 1 o'clock in the morning,
Oh, my God.
So the way I am, I just thought I didn't have a credit card because we didn't even have credit cards back in those days. I knew that he'd got one, but he didn't want to ever use it. So he'd put it away somewhere. One of his
Mm-hmm.
businesses, he's a credit card. So luckily I found it. So
Oh,
I
wow.
found that. I called the airline. I thought, well, I knew there was a flight leaving in the morning. I think like about 8 o'clock or something in the morning. I mean, this is 1 o'clock in the 1 o'clock in the
In the
1
morning.
a.m.
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
now. Yeah, I'm still in the morning because I knew that Dutch wouldn't. I knew Dutch wouldn't have lied to me. You
No.
know what I mean? So called back. The lady called back and she said, "I will come and meet you at the airport." I found a flight and everything. And I said, well, hopefully they take the credit card, because I don't have any money,
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
And so what happened was I got my neighbor, I called my neighbor. She said, why don't you leave Jeff here? Jeff was 7 years older at the time.
Oh.
We've always been a partner all the time because of Dad and the business and everything.
Right.
So
Right.
I didn't even think I should have probably, but I never thought about it. I said, no, he comes with me. He is actually, we're a partner. If there's anything wrong with his dad's going to want to see his son.
Right. Right.
So actually threw a few things in a suitcase. I was dressing Jeff on the way to the airport. The neighbor took us into the airport. I go into the airport, and this is when Braniff, there was an airline called Braniff back in the old
Yep.
days.
I remember that. Yep.
And just so happened that the guy that knew Frank happened to be working the desk because Frank knew, because of flying so much, he knew all the people there and everything, and they knew him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went up to him. I said, I don't know. I said, I have a credit card. I explained what had happened. And I said, all I've got is this credit card. Is there anything, can I, put it on the credit card? He said, it's fine. He said, I would take the credit card. It's no problem. I'll get you on the flight, So he took the credit card because I thought, what am I going to do if they won't take the credit card?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not thinking at that time. It's
No, of
like,
course not. You were scared to death. Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
So took that, called, her name was Nancy. The lady was Nancy. It was Cologne's wife, and she's a Canadian. So which was really, she talked English. So
Okay.
even today, I am so grateful for this woman. I don't know how I would have done it without her. So I'm very
Mm-hmm.
grateful. And of course, get to Puerto Rico, everything, you know what I mean? Not knowing what's happened,
Right. Right.
being in contact. I think I changed planes. And as I said, I thought, what if nobody's there to meet me? Well, and this is a story everybody knows. It was on Vice and everything. I'm waiting at the airport, trying to keep an eye. Kids, where are they? Where is he? Oh, 7
Mm-hmm.
years old, running around the airport, not knowing what the blazes.
Yeah.
And here's Abby coming down the hallway, coming down. kind of walking fast. He was leaving. He was already leaving Puerto Rico after it. And he was the one that told me that Frank had passed. And then, of course, he just told me and then left because he's trying to catch a plane. And
Mhm.
I remember just standing there, I guess in shock, as
Of
you
course.
think back, and I'm kind of telling this like a third person. It's still hard that was me that had to go through all this,
Mhm.
so
That's
that was,
awful.
just that. And then, of course, with everything going on, they had to go identify the body and everything like that. And I stayed there longer because I knew if I came back to the States without a death certificate, I couldn't do anything. So, but the company, the promotion paid all my expenses down there and everything, and paid for I had him cremated, so I wasn't going to make a show of it because Frank, like I said, after it all happened, me and Jeff are in the hotel, not knowing what the blazes is going on. You're in Puerto
Mhm.
Rico. You've lost your husband under very unusual circumstances, not the circumstances you want to. And I didn't know what to do. It's like, what do you do? I'm standing here, I'm in the strange country. And, it's like, and I know people, I've heard other people tell me this in moments of complete stress. It was like he was standing next to me. And it
Mhm.
was like he was saying, Barbara, you know what I want? We've talked about it. Make it easy on yourself. Okay, so I had him cremated over there and I brought him back on the plane with me. Because it was like, what am I going to do? Bring a body back on the plane and go
Yeah.
through all this and
Yeah.
everything. So I had they did a little service down there and everything for him. And then I brought him home he came home with me on the plane
Mhm. Did
next to
any
me.
of the wrestlers stay? Any of the wrestlers that wrestled with him that
I
night, did any of
think,
them stay?
think a lot of them left, if I remember. I think that I'm a little fuzzy on, but if I remember, I think most of them left within. Well, they had to go to the police and they had to give stories and everything because they were the witnesses.
Mhm.
So I think probably stayed. I'm sure they probably
Oh,
stayed a
she
couple of
froze.
days until they, could leave.
What was the story? I mean, if you want to comment on this, what was the story that you got about what actually happened to him?
Well, I'm sure you've talked to Tony Atlas.
Uh not 100% about it, but I have talked to Tony. But it was Tony. I believe Tony was also on Dark Side of the Ring
Yes,
with regard to that as well.
yes.
But I'm just trying to get, after all these years, trying to actually get a real story, a real one.
Yeah, as I said, well, Tony was the one that stayed with him and got him into the hospital and everything, and I just don't think anybody really knows. It's one of those mysteries. I have to say that why, nobody, why it happened, I don't know. There's a story. There's somebody knows,
Yeah.
especially, especially like I said, because of the way. What is it? That they did it as self-defense, which was not self-defense, and that none of the American wrestlers that were there got the subpoena to show up at the courthouse to testify in his trial.
See,
So
that's what I don't understand. Why did that happen? Do you know? I mean, just because they were probably protecting the person who did it.
it's a Puerto Rico, but I do want to say that the people of Puerto Rico, when I went to the funeral home to do things, and they were having I don't know how I did that. They had a little showing why I did things I don't even remember doing because I was in such a shock.
Right.
And I got there and the people were lined up around, to go in, I guess, to view him, you know and and I always remember a sign. It kind of said, do not blame the people of Puerto Rico. And
Oh,
it's like I said, I I have quite a few friends in Puerto Rico. It had nothing to do with anyone. This was just a one person, or
yes.
maybe, I don't know. You know what I mean? I
Well,
can't
you know
comment.
what? As far as the people of Puerto Rico, I agree with that because everybody loved him. Everybody
Yes.
loved him.
Oh,
And like
yeah.
you
And
said, with as mean as he could look, and as
Yeah.
big as he was, and that and that big hair and all that other stuff, he looked like he was overwhelming. But he
Mm-hmm.
could, the people loved him. Like you said, he wound up being a face after all.
Yeah.
No matter what, the people just loved him everywhere. And absolutely, I don't think that the people would have had
No,
anything to do with anybody's death.
no, they would just, as I said, the time, as I said, I had to spend there a little extra because of having to tie up a few loose ends before I could
Hmm.
come back. And like I said, they were wonderful. That's all I always say, that they were the people of Puerto Rico. They were so kind to me, and I really appreciate the kindness that they showed me when I was down there.
Hmm. And you said you stayed with the Cologne family while you were
No,
there?
no, they
Oh,
put me in a hotel. No,
okay.
I was in a hotel that they
Okay.
paid for. Yeah, they
Okay.
were. I think they were just in a. They were getting their house remodeled, so they were in kind of a small little apartment at that
Hmm.
time. But
Okay.
they, as I said, with Nancy, I could not have done it without Nancy. She was just, she was. As I said, I'll say it again. She helped me tremendously, and today, and I'm repeating myself, I appreciate it so much.
That's fine. Now, the perpetrator, so to speak, was never punished for this. Is
No,
that
it was
correct?
it was done as what is it, self defense, because there was nobody there to testify in Frank's defense of what happened. But I believe in karma. I don't know how, but as I said, it's
Oh
something that
yeah.
he has to live with. And why why is the big WHY
Yeah.
is, that is
Yeah.
something. I mean, 37 years later, and Frank has become such a legend, which is
Oh my
unbelievable.
God.
You
He
know,
has. And you see on TV all the time that some of these cases are solved like 60, 70, 80 years later. I like you said, karma is real. I believe karma is real. And he will get his comeuppance one way or another. But let's get back to Frank right now. Um, how was Frank as like with Jeff? How is he as a dad?
oh, they had the most incredible relationship. This was the time there was figures out called Masters of the Universe,
Okay,
and
yeah, I
they,
remember that. Oh my
remember that,
God, yeah.
He-Man and Skeletor. Well,
Yep. Oh my
Jeff was
God,
he
Barbara, yes.
Jeff was He-Man and Dad was Skeletor. And
Skeletor,
they would
yeah.
be on the floor with Castle Grayskull and all the other figures that went with that. And I found,
Oh.
letters and postcards from Japan that he used to write to Jeff, and his, "Hey, He-Man," and
Oh.
then he would sign it Skeletor. Uh,
Oh. That's
I
really
know one of
nice.
the things, in fact, Vice just re-aired the episode about Frank, and every time I watch it, I cry. And the
yeah.
part that me really gets me going is with
Oh,
Tony Atlas is saying that Frank had seen him draw something, and he's like, "Wow, that's really good. Can you do one of my son?"
yeah.
And he did the drawing, and he held on to the picture. Or I think he had a picture, and then
Yeah.
uh,
When he went into the, yeah.
and yeah,
Yeah.
and Tony, used that picture for his drawing or whatever. But the picture never left his hand
I know. I
on the way to the hospital and on the way and in the hospital and everything.
Yeah.
It was just in his hand. And then that's when I
I
just
know.
lose
Just
it. But yeah, you could just tell he was such a dad. You know what I mean? Like just an
yeah,
amazing father. Yeah.
he was, as I said. And another thing that gets me from that Vice is Jeff has never really done anything with wrestling. He's beginning now because he now knows who his father was. And when we did that show, we went to Austin, and Jason and Evan, was doing the interview with me. And then he was kind of the age of Jeff. So Jeff kind of really got along with them. And then
Hmm.
they turned to Jeff and said, "Why don't you come up and do a few words?" Well, it shocked me that he actually did. But as you know, if you've just seen that, when they
Mhm.
asked them what memories they had. The part that gets me in that one too is, what memories did you have of your dad? And
Yeah.
it was kind of like, everybody has memories, but I don't. And it was like, and that is so
Oh,
true, because everybody tells him stories of his dad, and he really doesn't have any memories. I think maybe one memory, we went to Six Flags over Texas before, in the school holidays. So it was the school holidays when, it happened. That's why we were going to go to Puerto Rico with him.
right,
And we went on, I think it's this ride called Tidal Wave. And what it is, you get in this car, and there's probably about 12 people in there, and you go way, 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 way up. And then you come down, it creates a tidal wave.
right.
Well, a lot of it is, people didn't know that Frank was kind of scared of heights. You wouldn't even think that, with jumping on the
Oh
top
my God,
pegs
no.
and ropes. So they really didn't know. Well, he's being dad. I'll do this right. I don't really, because it's high, but I will do it. My son wants to do it. I will do it with him. Well, I didn't go on it. I was standing down the bottom waiting. Let father and son have a little, it's good for them to bond. And it goes up. I mean, this is really high. And I keep seeing this little thing going up, 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 up. Then nothing. It didn't do anything. I went, uh-uh. Then I
Oh
see
no.
workmen climbing up. The thing
They
had
got
broken
stuck up
down.
there? Oh my God. Frank must have like peed.
No, and here is Frank in Texas, where he was very well known, with his son, with all these people that know him.
Right, right.
Yeah, and so he said, I couldn't do anything. I was so terrified. And I've got all these people looking at me, and my son's looking at me, and I'm going, it's okay. It's okay.
He had to suck it up. He really did. My God.
And then when it came down, he actually was white. And it was like 20 minutes or something. They were stuck up there.
Oh my God. That's
So,
funny.
but
Did
yeah,
Jeff know? Did Jeff know that he was frightened at the time? Or
no,
he never told him, never said
no,
anything?
no,
That's
no.
funny.
Because
Now
he
I
was
want to
trying to make sure his son wasn't frightened. He was trying to
right.
be
He wanted to
dad,
have his
even
son had
though,
a good time.
yeah, he was trying. Everything's
Well,
okay. Everything's okay. Oh no, it's not.
Barbara, I wanted to ask you because I know you were there. Me and Carmela were going to go, but unfortunately, we just couldn't make it. But the Cauliflower Alley Club
Oh,
reunion, how was that? I saw
Yes.
some of your pictures,
oh
and
yeah.
it looked like it was a great time as usual.
It is always a great time. You really have to try come one year,
We
because
We're
are going to this year, I hope. Yeah.
okay, because it is fun. You just are worth a lot. It's different than a lot of the fan fests, because it has a lot of other activities to do.
Right.
And we're right opposite Fremont Street too, which is can be fun too. But it is the people there. And but let's face it, the Cauliflower Alley Club, what a great nonprofit organization.
Yes, it is.
We have these wrestlers that have given their bodies to the sport. They don't have no medical, they don't have no pension, they have nothing. They leave the sport a broken man or woman, because
Exactly.
all their bodies are broken down because
Yep.
of what they do to give to the people, to give to the fans.
Mm-hmm.
And this, we have the Benevolent Fund, Darla Staggs, my friend. In fact, if you ever want to get stories about wrestlers, Darla has been around wrestling since she was 6 months old. And she
Wow.
she knows everybody. She's got stories on every just about single wrestler you could want, and
Do you
good
think
stories.
she'd be willing to do the podcast?
I'm this is one of the where I'm going after I do that. I'm sure
Oh,
she would.
okay. Oh, I'd
But
love that.
you talk about the number one wrestling fan. Well, in the Cauliflower Alley Club, she's in charge of the benevolent committee, so she does all the payouts to all the people. They contact her. She
Mm-hmm.
goes through, what do they need? Medical. They need their what I mean, their rent paid. They're in trouble. So she's the one that takes care of the benevolent fund. And then of course she'll go to Brian and the other people that are involved in the
Mm-hmm.
Cauliflower Alley. But if you want a fun, she is a fun girl. And like I said, you talk about anyone, mention anyone. She's the Briscoes, I mean the Blairs, I mean anyone. Eddie Gilbert, she was good friends
Really?
with. You know
Wow.
what I mean? So
That's
she would,
amazing.
she probably would be a great guest to have. You'd have fun with her.
Oh, I'd
I,
love to have her.
I
Go
don't
ahead.
know, Carm, if you got it or not, but yesterday I got my quarterly newsletter from him. I'm mad at
I didn't
myself
get it
because I
yet.
meant to bring it out
Oh,
when I grabbed your book, and I'm old and senile, so I forgot. But yeah, it just came in and I left it in my room because I was going to read it. And, I
I know.
just forgot to bring it out, but I just got that. And it is an amazing organization.
Absolutely.
Yes,
And Rich Engling is a saint, in my opinion.
they're
He
rich.
is just
Yeah.
amazing. Him and his wife Cindy, and it's just so amazing. And it seems like it's just like almost like the best kept secret. Like I don't know how. I mean, I know it's nonprofit, but trying to get the word, especially to the indie guys who, like you should be a part of this, because God forbid something happens in the
Yes.
ring and things like
Yes.
that, you can get help,
Hmm.
if you need it. And like I said, I don't understand how the wrestling community does not know about this.
I know. That's why every time I talk to anybody, I try. You know, what I mean, I
Yeah.
try to get it out, and I volunteer. I do the reception. I check the people in and do that. So it's the least I could give back for such a
Very
great
cool.
organization.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, it's funny because Jeannie and I, like she said, we're trying to come last year. It just didn't happen, but we're definitely going to try and get ourselves together to come. First of all, getting a real ID is almost ridiculous. Okay. So that's going to be the hard
Oh,
part. It's probably be cheaper to get or better to get a passport.
Well,
But
luckily my son just he doesn't have a real ID either, and he just had flown to Florida for a football game, and he didn't have it, and they were like, "Okay." And
yeah, I was
they
surprised they
just
let him fly.
they gave him a red flyer saying not real ID, and then when he got to the thing to go up there, they're like, "Okay, whatever, go ahead, go on."
That's cool. But
So
we
it was
definitely
like,
want to go.
okay. So it doesn't, if
Well,
we don't
it'll
get
be
one by next August, we'll
Well,
it won't
I'm gonna
matter.
probably get a passport anyway first, but we definitely want to come out and hang out with you.
Oh
Absolutely.
oh,
yeah.
it is fun. You will have a blast. And like I said, also it just is like we just talked. It's a great organization to help people,
Absolutely.
and anytime you can help people, because right now so many people are in stress, so many people in financial difficulties, and if you just get a little help, it can change people's lives.
It
Yeah.
can. And
And
it's a
to,
shame because it's getting worse and worse, Barbara. Every day this country's getting worse and worse.
I
And
know.
it's so sad.
And that's why I was so sad, when everything happened to Frank too, because he had just started a company. It was called BAM, BAM
Hmm.
LLC, which meant Brody Athletic Management. And what he was doing, we got a wrestling ring from Joe Blanchard. He was working with the University of Texas, and what they were going to do, they were going to do a skit. He was working with all the right people. This was just when the DARE program, remember the DARE
Oh
program,
yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
the dangers, and they figured you put Frank in a wrestling ring, put him up in high schools and whatever, go around there, and you talk about the dangers of drugs and alcohol. You think they wouldn't listen?
Oh,
Because he
please.
was so powerful with his interviews. I think that's what made him too, because his interviews were so powerful. He could talk. And I think that was part of who Bruiser Brody was too,
Hmm.
was the talk plus the action.
Yeah.
And do you think, because we know when we're growing up, we don't listen to authority. We think we know everything as a kid. Whereas you put someone like that in the ring, you think they wouldn't have listened? And
They would have.
he was going to, we had a little bit of land with an old mobile home in it. And what he was thinking about during the school holidays, taking a few boys that had a very bad home life and taking them out to give a little fishing and hiking and camping. You think he could
Oh.
you think he couldn't have changed some of these lives?
Oh, absolutely. Could have
You know,
changed multiple
Absolutely.
lives. Are you
and
kidding?
and I know because this was all in the plan. We just started this. This was part of the business I was doing when, everything happened that day. And it was, that was unbelievable that he couldn't quite finish what
That's a
he had
shame.
started.
That's a
And
shame.
I know because he always used to say, and I meet some of these kids at these, what is it, the fan fest I go to.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have been the one in Charlotte, the Gathering, which is also a good one too.
I know. Yeah. I
I
love
have,
that one.
I shouldn't say little boy. Well, I had this little gentleman that I think is 6, 7 years now. First met him. He was a big Bruiser Brody fan, him and his dad.
Oh,
Well, this year when I went to the Gathering, he just graduated from high school and still wearing a Bruiser
oh,
Brody shirt. So I have
get
photographs of
out.
him, and he's taller than me now too.
Oh,
So I have, see, that's what I mean. He left such a legacy.
he did.
And I also have other people that, when they're all grown up now, because it's 37 years, that they remember seeing him in an airport. And even though he was in character, if he saw them kind of scared, I mean, he looked like a monster going through the
He
airport.
did. He did.
And he was so big. And, as a
Yeah.
little kid, you're looking up, and it's like the monster
Yeah.
that he sometimes, they said, I would go and I hid behind my dad's, I was scared. And if
Yeah.
he saw that, he would come over, bend down, and talk in this gentle
Oh,
voice. He would go out of character for just a little while and talk to these
oh, God
kids.
bless them. Yeah,
And they've said to me, and which is true, you cannot judge a book by its cover,
absolutely not.
because it's what's in here that
It's
matters.
your heart.
It's your
Absolutely. It's
heart.
your
It
heart.
doesn't matter what you look like, what color
No,
you are,
does not.
anything. It doesn't matter what is there. It's what is in the heart. And some of the
Exactly.
nicest people are people that people have kind of, oh, look at that. That looks so terrible. No, they can be the most nicest, most genuine people you can ever meet.
Exactly. That's true. I mean, he looked like a redwood tree, you
Yes.
know? I mean, really, it was like a tree that had arms and legs, you know? He was just like such a force. He was such an impression, you know? And like to look at him, especially the beard, the mustache, the long, crazy
Yeah.
hair, and I remember you saying too that when he went into an airport, he would just walk in and pull the rubber band out of his hair and the whole thing would fly out yeah, and stuff like it was crazy. And like I said, when I did meet him, I had the honor of only meeting him one time. And he was such a wonderful, wonderful, kind man. And you know what? It's nice that you say that about him too, because there are some wrestlers that are not nice people. Okay,
I'm
even
sure.
even when
Yeah.
you see them outside, they're not nice people. And sometimes when they are in character, as you say,
Hmm.
um, they don't care who is scared of them. They don't care who they hurt. There was a person today who put on Facebook that she brought, I think, her son or her nephew to Madison Square Garden last night. And Xavier Woods happened to be there. I guess all the wrestlers go to the events, whether they wrestle or not. They're usually always all
Right.
there. And supposedly, Xavier Woods, this little boy wanted to get his autograph or something. And he was extremely cruel to this little
Oh,
boy. And the
see?
mom, yeah, and she was like, it was no need for that.
No.
He wanted to see you. He was excited. You didn't have to I'm trying to get the whole story from her right now,
Yeah.
but she's like, you didn't have to do what you did. He was just a little
See,
boy.
that's where my mama bear would come out. If
Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
anyone, I
yes.
don't
Oh,
care who it
absolutely.
is,
No.
Absolutely.
my boys loved all sports and all things and, everything. And they did get to meet some wrestlers and some football players and basketball players.
Yeah.
And, like, no, no,
Mm-mm.
you treat my kids like you're their
Exactly.
hero. I don't care.
If you're good or
You
bad.
disrespect him, you just disrespected me, and now you have to die.
Yep. Well, it's funny. Jeannie
No,
can tell you this.
no,
When
no.
Jeannie would tell you this, like I used to go, and if I had my kid with me, one of my children, I would say really loud, okay, like when Ric Flair was there, whatever, he was eating breakfast, and I would be like really loud and say, well, if we go see him, I know he's going to be very nice to you. And I'd look over, and then they would go like this or like that, and I wouldn't go. But if they would not, then I would bring her
Yeah.
over. But if anybody, like Jeannie said, anybody disrespected my child,
Oh yeah.
Jeannie, come on, get out.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it would be written in the bylaws of the world what I would do to them.
Yep.
That's the truth.
And I think this is why all these, just what I've mentioned about these boys that I've come in contact with that have, come up and told me the story about Frank. That's how I know how kind he was, because they still remember. I mean,
Exactly.
these were kids. It's hard to believe. It was
I
37
know.
years this year. And
That's a
to
shame.
me, it's just really hard to know that every time I turn, you know what I mean, Facebook on, I see pictures of him. It's
Always.
still
Always.
around. And he has his own Facebook page too, don't you?
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
No.
Oh, well, I'll have to.
Oh, I gotta go
Oh,
friend
yeah.
you up. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll friend you. We'll friend you in it. Listen,
Yeah.
Barbara, I don't want to cut you short because I know you
Oh,
have to
thank you.
go. You did say you had to leave. I want to ask you if you wouldn't mind, again, coming back another time.
I'd
We would love to
to.
have you. And then we would love to come and see you when you're in Vegas, definitely.
Well,
And maybe we'll meet up at one of the cons. Barbara, God bless you.
I'm going to
Yes,
keep
thank
to
you
that.
so much for doing this. And
Okay.
I wanted to make sure everybody knows that I'm having surgery tomorrow. So
Right, I
this
was
was
gonna
the
ask
only
you.
time I could do it. And I was like, well, you can just do it without me, no big deal.
No,
And yeah, Carmela said you were like, no. And I'm like,
no.
No,
I
gotta
was
do
like
it,
ready to
Jeannie.
cry. I'm like, you don't
Yeah,
have to,
I have to see you too, as I
I
said.
know.
No, and I'll give the information for Darla too, because I think talking to her, you would have a ball
Oh, please,
as well.
absolutely.
Yeah. And if you want to come on with Darla,
With
Yeah.
her. Yeah, that'd be great. I have one more request and then I'm going to let you go. Do you think maybe every single day you could take a little tape of your voice with your little accent and send it to me? I love your accent. Just every day. Hello,
Sure.
Carmela. I love that.
Hey there, you two. Hey there. I'm
Hey,
just
that's
saying
all.
good morning to you both.
Oh, I would die. I would just die. I think that would be wonderful. Barbara,
Okay.
thank you. God bless
Thank
you.
you so
Thank
much,
you so much.
Barbara.
I
You are
enjoyed it.
amazing.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And we'll see you again soon. I promise.
Yes.
And we'd love to keep in touch with you.
Yes.
I would love it too. Anytime.
Thank you. All right. Take care,
Thank
honey.
you.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye.
Oh my God. Do you love her? I love
More
her.
than words can say. She
I
is
love that
just
woman.
absolutely
Love her to death.
amazing.
Yep.
Her story is incredible.
Yeah. And it's also
And
tragic at the same time.
Well, yeah. And it is, that her and her son Jeff are, they've made it through just the inner strength that this woman and son have, for such a great man, truly in and out of wrestling, just a
Yeah.
great human being.
He was.
It is just a testament, and I love her.
I love her too. She's a wonderful lady. She's a kind soul. And you know what? Even after
And she's still giving back to the wrestling community, which is amazing.
And even after all this, she does not have one bad word to say about that person who killed her husband. Okay.
Yeah.
If that was me,
no, yeah, I'm right there with you.
Oh, hell no. Okay?
I would have been right there with you with the limestone
and I don't care.
And the shovel and
I don't care.
Else.
It would be on television, and I don't care if I got in trouble. I don't care if I went to jail. I don't care if I got sued. I don't care. How could you?
I'm sorry. Nobody, no crime, Carm.
There you go.
That? Nobody, no crime.
But
I got you. I got you.
I can't. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I got you too. But how could you do that? How could you do that? And
there's so many theories. And again, I had just watched the Vice show last weekend, I think it was, and it was, the theory is the guy, didn't like him, and
he felt threatened by him.
he was threatened by him, and apparently he owed Frank money, and Frank told him, I'll be leaving with my money, guaranteed one way or another. That money is mine, coming back.
Yep.
And he
And not only that, but apparently there's also another rumor that Frank was going to buy the Puerto Rican organization. He was interested
yeah,
in it, you know.
yeah,
And this person, okay, I'm not going to mention his name because I'd love to, but this person felt threatened, not physically threatened. He felt his position felt threatened.
right.
You know, and he to say that he killed Frank Goodish because it was in self-defense. I couldn't imagine Frank starting anything with anybody.
Well,
He would defend
originally,
himself, yes.
yeah, I mean, and because apparently what again, this is according to Vice and according to Tony Atlas's accounts of everything, Dutch Mantel's accounts of everything, um, that, yeah, I mean, he saw Brody. There was like a door that had a glass finish to it, so you can see through but not see clearly through.
Wasn't that where the shower was?
And
it was
yeah,
in shower,
like in the bathroom, and Tony saw him like let out this bellowing moan,
yell,
and
yeah.
he doubled over, and you know, that was the only, and the person who invited him in had something in his hand, and it was covered up like with a towel or whatever, and he said, Brody, can you come in, can we talk?
Right.
Okay, he went in there. And then when Tony got back from the hospital, he went back to the show. All the guys were laughing and playing around, and just, it was very like very, you know, like no big deal,
jovial,
whatever.
yeah.
And like, what? And Tony flipped out. He's like, what the hell? And the police were there doing interviews, and the police were finally saying, you know, like, well, it was, you know, a fan did it. A fan stabbed him. And Tony was like, oh, no, he did not. I'll tell you who did it. And he pointed right at the guy.
Exactly.
And everybody, and Tony's life was then in danger because they were looking for him. And so he didn't go back to his hotel. He's like slept on the beach with one eye open, because it was like,
Absolutely.
Don't talk.
And the thing is, too, how would a fan get into their shower, their bathroom, and stab him in his femoral artery? So he
because the story was that Brody wasn't in that shower area, in that bathroom. That it was supposedly he went out to look at the crowd to see, you know, okay, is it filling up? Is it, you know, whatever, and that a fan stabbed them there. So, and
well, and another story, that's just it, but from what I've read, obviously the dark side of the ring is telling what it's telling. But one of the stories that I heard is that he was barely dressed, that he was in that, you know, bathroom area. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different stories that you hear. Unfortunately, there's only two people that know what happened. Bruiser Brody and the person who did it, period. And God, of course. But that's it. But, you know, and like Barbara said, what goes around will come around. Good and bad, right and wrong. You get what you give. It's just that simple.
And you can get her book.
Yes.
Can
you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Put that book a little closer so we can get a look at his face. Or bring it down a little bit. Right there. There you go. Look at that man. Okay. Yep. He looks like a redwood tree. Imagine him being a cute little dad to a little boy. I mean, imagine that, right?
I know.
He was a kind man, good man.
But yeah, and I think you can get it on Amazon, and should have had her plug it a little more, but yeah, you can definitely get it, and it'll go on, and it's a great read. It really is. It's a great read.
She'll be back. All right, kid, we're done. We're done for tonight. I'm going to drop this tonight, and then, God willing, everything goes well, we're going to have our Paul tribute on Saturday, probably around 12:30, 1 o'clock, something to that effect. But we're doing the best we can to get it together. I'm trying to get.
I should be okay. If I'm not,
if you're not, we'll reschedule it. I'm not going to do it.
Well,
No.
you know,
Mm-mm.
it's
No.
for
No.
Paul, so I don't
No.
want to
No.
rearrange
No.
everything, but I should be okay. I should be
No.
okay.
No. We're not going to do it without you. Okay. So we can
There might be a
reschedule it.
lot of tears as well.
Well,
So
there's going to be a lot of tears. He was a good
yeah.
man. He was a good person. All right, kiddo. Anyway, good luck with your surgery.
Thank you.
Keep
Thank
me
you.
posted on everything. And when we come back, when you're able to come back, when we hopefully when we do the tribute for Paul, we'll keep everybody posted. If you would let me know how everything went, I'll put it up on Facebook to let everybody know
Okay.
how you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
All right.
absolutely. I'll
Love
let you
you.
know.
If you need
Mwah.
anything
Love
at
you
all,
more.
let me know.
I
Okay.
will.
I love you very
Absolutely.
much, and we'll talk soon.
Okay.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.